The Packers are notorious for losing the NFC Championship game. It's become a big NFL social media meme, for good reasons, of course. It just doesn't seem like he can get past that big game, and this last season, he even lost in the divisional round versus the 49ers, where he didn't even throw a touchdown. It seems like the Packers are always the 1 or 2 seed and losing the conference championship game every year. In fact, since 2014, they've lost in that game 4 times. Isn't that just crazy that they couldn't win one, even with having a big lead over the Seahawks and allowing that comeback? I think there is an apparent reason for this. Not just for the Packers, but this video is going to be about the Aaron Rodgers Trap. Basically the title of the video. Or what happens when you inevitably have to give your quarterback way too much money and takes up a lot of your team's cap space. But before we get into this video, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated and helps me out more than you know. Now, let's get right into what I believe to be the Aaron Rodgers Trap in the NFL. After their rookie contract, franchise quarterbacks are looking to get paid. Recently, we have seen Josh Allen sign a 6-year, $258 million extension, Patrick Mahomes sign a 10-year, $500 million extension, Dak with a 4-year, $160, Rodgers, even though he's not off his rookie deal, with a 3-year, $150, and so on. Obviously, for each of those quarterbacks, plus more, it is a lot of money. And for some of those teams, we've already seen some regression in the talent in their roster due to those moves signing their quarterbacks to big contracts, aka the Aaron Rodgers Trap. I have a couple examples as I just listed. I'm only going to talk about a couple, so let's start with the Chiefs. Mahomes signed a contract a couple of years ago, and we are now seeing the problems arising as the contract starts to get hefty after his rookie deal and 5th-year option are over. Due to cap reasons, amongst other reasons, we've seen Tyreek Hill traded the Dolphins for multiple picks, Tyrann Mathieu leaving free agency for the Saints, but allegedly they didn't want him back, but money was also a part of it since he's old, and they don't really have the money. They also have lost some other pieces to the team, like Mike Hughes, Demarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle, Daniel Sorensen, Melvin Ingram, Jarron Reed, and Charvarius Ward, who's a big impact corner for them. Since the deal has kicked in, many key pieces to that Chiefs elite squad have left, leaving them with a much weaker team, with Justin Reed as their replacement for Mathieu, who's not a bad player, but not near Tyrann Mathieu's production. Juju Smith-Schuster and Sky Moore as the Tyreek Hill replacements, and not much else. Sure, you could say Marquez Valdes-Scantling, but, you know, he's Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And trust me, those are not great replacements for elite talent at the safety and wide receiver positions that were lost. I think that Tyreek Hill was clearly the biggest loss, since he was such a difference maker on offense, and it was public knowledge that he was traded because they cannot afford him. And without him alone, this team and offense are certainly worse. No matter what, Kansas City will be a playoff team, but not the dominant team we expect every year, especially in that stacked AFC West. I'd be surprised to see them in the AFC Championship game, unlike Rodgers, who makes it every year. No matter what heroics Patrick Mahomes is capable of, and a lot of that is due to the cap space that they now have due to the Mahomes contract, or should I say, don't have. And obviously, other contracts as well, like Chris Jones, which isn't the case for every team I talk about here. But the Aaron Rodgers Trap here is the Mahomes $50 million a year contract. If you sign him to that big of a deal, you have to sacrifice some key pieces, and look what Andy Reid had to do. Had to let Tyreek Hill get traded, had to let Tyrann Mathieu leave, and then the smaller pieces like Charvarius Ward and Mike Hughes and Daniel Sorensen, who is not great, but you know what I mean. Those key pieces had to be let go just because too much money was invested in one player. I mean, I guess we'll have to see how it goes for the Chiefs, but as of right now, it's not looking great. There's another player that has a similar problem, but also for different reasons as well. I didn't talk about him in the intro, and his name is Ryan Tannehill of the Tennessee Titans. It is obvious that Tannehill is overpaid for his on-field production. Clearly, the product of a Derrick Henry-led offense that he can thrive off of due to how often teams stack the box against the Titans. According to PlayerProfiler.com, Derrick Henry faced stacked box 24.2% of the time, which was 4th in the league. He succeeded enough, as in Ryan Tannehill, to earn a 4-year, $118 million extension with Tennessee, which we all know now he is not worth that. However, that is exactly the type of money you have to pay a starting caliber quarterback nowadays. The Titans have had some playoff success in the past, but this prior season they lost solely because of their very rich quarterback literally throwing away the game. Tannehill had just 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions against the Bengals, being probably the sole purpose that they lost that game. I can defend that because the defense sacked Joe Burrow 9 times, a playoff record, and still lost. Sorry if my mic peaked there, because that is just ridiculous. The Titans obviously messed up, giving Tannehill that much money, but his talent is not even the biggest issue. The money is, as I've made clear throughout this whole video. And due to those money reasons, and most likely not wanting to play with Ryan Tannehill, especially after this last season and playoff performance, A.J. Brown was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, basically just for the first round pick, to draft his replacement, Arkansas wide receiver Treylon Burks. This was a pure money move, because the Titans reportedly only offered him a deal well under his market value, and the Eagles took on the task of paying A.J. Brown for the money he deserves, the 4-year, $100 million extension, which, I mean, you could argue is a little bit of an overpay, but at worst it was going to be a 4-year $80. The Titans did not have to pay as much as that. Brown stated he would have stayed if they offered $22 million, but John Robinson, the GM of the Titans, and the rest of the front office refused, and didn't even offer $20 million a year, reportedly. This move makes the Titans' offense potentially awful, as Robert Woods, who they just traded for, is coming off of an ACL tear, and he's a great player, but we do not know how he will do. And Treylon Burks, we don't know how to evaluate him yet because he hasn't played a snap in the NFL. And then there's Derrick Henry, the king, is coming off of an injury, and is just past the 1,500 total touches mark, which most running backs do not do well after surpassing that amount of touches, but it is Derrick Henry, so we'll have to see. Also on offense, they lost starting guard Roger Saffold and tight end Anthony Firkser, so that's already not a great sign for the already struggling Ryan Tannehill. This contract that Ryan Tannehill was given has been absolute detriment to the team. The Titans will most likely not be as good next year in the regular season, I mean, of course, since they were the 1 seed. And I think the Titans won't go far in the playoffs due to the fact that they gave Ryan Tannehill a, at best, top 16, aka top half quarterback, that much money. And this is what you have to do as a team, though. You have to overpay your quarterback. You have to. Just to keep him so you can stay competitive. But that is also why they drafted Malik Willis to potentially take over for Ryan Tannehill, a much cheaper option on his rookie deal, which is something I will get into in just a few seconds. Notice how I didn't even bring up Aaron Rodgers in a video called the Aaron Rodgers Trap? Well, I will shortly right now. They had to cut Zadarius Smith for money and injury reasons. They traded Devontae Adams, not for money reasons, but because he just wanted to leave. While they did re-sign Devontae Campbell and Jair Alexander to a huge extension, that will also affect them in the future. I just want to let it be known, while this video is mostly about quarterbacks, obviously other positions can hurt the team as well, like Derrick Henry getting a big extension, at least for running back, Jair Alexander, and Chris Jones for the Chiefs, all making big money. Now, these teams have to do it to keep their good players, but this is just what hurts teams, is the big contracts, especially with quarterbacks, specifically with quarterbacks, that just hurt the team's ability to do anything in free agency. These are only a couple of examples, but I think everyone gets the point. The Aaron Rodgers Trap is defined by me as giving your quarterback way too much money. Even though you can now bend the salary cap, at some point it will become a huge issue, with keeping your team as good as it started before they signed the contract, and even harder to get better since there is less money to go around to other positions of need. The end of the definition. Aaron Rodgers is the prime example, but I didn't feel the need to explain him that deeply. He's a selfish guy and would never take a pay cut to even allow Devontae Adams to stay, even though money was not even close to the main reason Adams wanted to leave. This is why teams try so hard to win during a quarterback's rookie contract, like the Bengals are right now. The Chiefs did with Mahomes, Seattle did with Russ, and more in the past. The best time to win is when your quarterback is not the highest paid player in your team, because of how much money the most important position in football demands. So some advice for the Bears, the Patriots, the Jaguars, the Jets, etc. Go out there, get some veterans to help your team win a Super Bowl. I mean, the Jags tried, but just signed some of the most mid players ever to exist to big deals. How we doing, Christian Kirk? However, there is one big counterexample to the rookie deal quarterback winning window and the Aaron Rodgers Trap as a whole. What might that be, you ask? Oh, It's New England Patriots and Tom Brady before his last 2 seasons there, trust me, I know. Before those last couple of seasons in New England, Belichick always got the talent Brady and the Patriots needed to win on both sides of the ball. And why is that? Because Tom Brady did not take as much money like most other quarterbacks nowadays. Now, this is very rare, which you actually cannot find nowadays. Every quarterback just gets the bag and doesn't really do it to help their team. And he also has a very rich wife, so that plays a factor. But either way, he still did it for the best interest of winning Super Bowls. Not buying a new Lamborghini or a new house. While yes, get the bag all you want, set up your family for generations. But either way, you are still getting paid millions upon millions of dollars. What's the difference between 50 and 40 million in the long scheme of things? That's not a saying, is it? No, I think I said that wrong, but I'm going to keep this in. So, a somewhat of a pay cut, which doesn't have to be big, to help your team stay competitive and have a chance to get better, I don't see the logic against it. Doing this is just very smart because it helps your team stay competitive. As we all know, Brady and the Patriots would win 6 Super Bowls, while Aaron Rodgers has only won once, and can't get past his arch nemesis, the NFC Championship game. And with all that being said, that is it for me, guys. Thank you for tuning into Fanatic Sports. If you made it this far into the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel, as any and all support is very much appreciated, helps the channel out more than you know. Also, make sure you follow me on Instagram at FanaticSports25 and on Twitter and TikTok at Fanatic Sports. This is Joe Shea of Fanatic Sports, signing off.